Next we'll have Mr. Kirk Dale.
On foreclosures, a lot of those people should have never been given a loan to buy that house to begin with. In regards to pensions and all that, you're looking at a person that's lived through it. I retired from the largest corporation in the world that went bankrupt. I had a very lucrative retirement package as a salaried employee. I had a six-figure insurance policy, life insurance. That's been reduced to $10,000. My bridge from my Social Security to as Part B has been taken away from me. Just like John said, the legacy cost is going to catch up with us, just like it got caught up with General Motors. They promised things years ago, they just ran out of money. I think the state is going to do the same thing. We got to take a look at everything, and everything should be on the table.
Next we'll hear from Mr. Ed Smith.
Unfortunately, on the foreclosure issue, there's a double penalty that a lot of our citizens receive. One, they lost their job, and two, their house payments sometimes doubled due to the increased interest rates on the ARMs. Our public sector employees have received pay raises and the absolute best benefit package around. My belief is they have to be equal to the private sector. They need to have co-pays involved. When they have something involved, which is some of their money involved in their decisions with their health care, they will become more fiscally conservative. They need to match the private sector. As far as getting Michigan back to work, we've all stated this question before it was asked earlier, but as the businesses are able to succeed, they can get some of these people back to work. It's going to be a slow process, but we can do it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to the state Senate candidates. Again, the question is, while home foreclosures are at an all-time high, how many due to high taxes, how do you handle the disparity between the public sector pensions, health care plans versus the private sector? I would ask Mr. Jeff Mays to come forward.
Well, in terms of the housing foreclosure crisis, I was fortunate for my 3 terms in the legislature to actually be on the House Banking Committee. And actually, sure, taxes are a factor in the ability of someone to afford their home, but quite frankly, people getting products that they didn't qualify for, financial institutions giving someone a loan that their credit didn't support, that was the problem. That wasn't a problem that our community banks and our credit unions fell into, but it was many folks with some of the unraveling of our regulations over the years that allowed these fly-by-night shops to come in, give someone an attractive product. Sure, they signed the dotted line for it, but at the end of the day, we rely on our bankers. We rely on those at our credit union to advise us on what's good for us and what's good for our family. You know, in terms of looking at our state's pension system itself, I'm very much in support of a defined contribution system for new hires, as long as it doesn't disrupt the existing pension system. That's one of the problems we have. It's underfunded today. How do you go about making that change without truly tipping the apple cart and creating a worse financial situation we're in today? Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Mr. Mike Green.
Well, the fact is the state is involved in a defined contribution program today. We passed that law 10 years ago when I was there. Finally, the state is getting away from these unfunded liabilities. It's going to take a long, long time. But you know what? We're going to, as state government, is going to have to look at their employees kind of the same way that General Motors has had to look at their employees. We've got to scale back. We've got to scale back some of the benefits that we're giving them. And it's going to take a tough governor, because the governor is the one that deals with the employees, to take a stand and say, hey, we have to start moving in that direction. General Motors employees have taken salary cuts. Other places have taken salary cuts, and I think state government is going to have to look at that. As far as the mortgage fiasco that we're in, I think probably everybody's pretty much answered that tonight. A lot of folks got these high mortgages with really no way of paying them back.
Next, we'll hear from Mr. Paul Mezzo.
This should have been done already. How is it we get into 6 years of a tremendous economic slide and our leaders don't do nothing about this budget? This budget expands, our deficit expands, and they give the state workers a 3% increase in pay 5 months ago. You have to ask yourself that. If you were running a show, would you have allowed that to happen? Or would you have stood up to the union and said, we can't do it anymore? Somebody has to go to the state legislature, somebody has to be elected to the governor that has some stamina, some guts, and some common sense for this to continue to go on, to allow this to happen. Believe you me, state workers earn their paycheck like everybody else. But how can they, how would they stand by and watch those in the public sector fail? They're not. It's the union leaders.
We're going to conclude our evening here this evening with closing statements by the candidates. There is one question that was emailed in that we're not going to be able to address tonight, but we are going to give that question to all the candidates and allow them the opportunity to respond to that. So in light of that, we're going to start with our state rep candidates, and we'll start with Mr. Ed Smith. There's going to be a 2-minute. Instead of a 1-minute closing, it'll be a 2-minute closing.